G'day gang, Simo and Ed, back for another episode of the Fastline Track Growth Show, where we talk all things karting and business.
Cool.
So, what are we going to talk about today?
Good question. Because we're freestyling a little bit today, but we had a chat earlier, but we didn't go into a lot of depth.
No.
I know you think all these videos are deeply planned, but they're really not. We had a little conversation earlier about sacking people.
Yeah, we did.
Don't worry, if you're one of the members of staff, don't you worry.
No one's job is on the line.
But I did ask you had a line that you ever deliver. And I used to have a line that I delivered to people when I was letting them go. I haven't had to really fire anybody for a while, not anybody that works for me directly. I fired a couple of people on behalf of clients recently, but that's another day for another story. But I do have a line that I use, and this is like really, really important actually, because letting somebody go is a sad time. I think really as business owners, you need to take responsibility for absolutely everything in your business. So whatever happens in your business, just take responsibility for it. The outcomes over time are proven to be much, much better for you. So on the day that somebody's leaving, and it's not an amicable leaving of the business owner really should look at themselves first and foremost.
This is an area where even the best businesses have issues. You know,
Well, yeah.
They never seem to get rid of the wrong people quickly enough.
Yeah, so the comment that I've heard echoed, and there's been various versions of it, but you find when you actually fire somebody and they leave, quite often the other members of staff around you will come up at some point and go, you took your time, or I wondered when you were going to let them go.
Yeah. Finally, you've done it. Thank God.
And you look at them, you're like, why didn't you come and tell me? So I guess the first takeaway is your staff don't tell you when other members of staff are doing a bad job.
No.
Right, that's the first takeaway. So the second thing then is, well, if you now know your staff aren't going to tell you when other people are doing a bad job, how do you go and get a mechanism in there that actually works out whether or not somebody's performing for you? So this is why it is the fault of the business owner in one extent. The job really is to go and get a measure in there where people are, first of all, connected to the main goals of the business. And secondly, they have a measure. So they already know how well they're doing, because we know that as soon as you get any free time with employees, it's that idle time that causes problems. We've talked about sabotage from employees in the past video, but so it is your responsibility to make sure that doesn't happen. But if you've got to a point where actually it's been lost, there is no way back, or you've just got to the end of your tether, hopefully you're not making these decisions as a knee-jerk decision. It still needs to be a quick decision. You'll be watching this video going, thanks Ed, so you've just said do it quick, like
do it quickly,
but not too quickly. So you should never do it when you're in an emotional state. So you just want to keep a neutral state and think, and if you just can't get there because there's just lots going on in the business, you need somebody around you that's just going to be your sounding board, just to ask you a couple of quick questions. Get the levels of emotion back down to somewhere where we can just talk about it and go into that conversation with an open mind.
Yeah, I mean, Tim's that sounding board for me. And it's always good to have the backup of someone who knows the HR laws. And, you've got to make sure you're not leaving yourself open for issues.
So easy, isn't it, to fall foul of HR laws, particularly in the UK. I think, dare I suggest, but I think America maybe has it slightly easier. Their contracts seem to not be quite as watertight. I've worked for a large American outfit. I was one of 15,000 employees. But I did get to speak to the main man quite often. And when we first started working together, the look, I wish I'd filmed the look on his face when he found out we were having 6 weeks holiday every year. He was like, I think he just thought he'd misheard it. And then he said, right, 6 weeks, and then that includes sick. It's like, no, that's on top. He was like, oh, right, what about bank holiday? Yeah, we don't work bank holidays, we have 6 weeks holiday, and it doesn't include sick. He was just like, what on earth have I got involved in? And then I later went and found out that the Americans are on 2 weeks holiday, and some of that, I think they had 2 weeks was holiday, but 3 weeks I think was in the contract because they might need a couple of days off to be sick, so that comes off your holiday entitlement. And then we also had another conversation where he was like, so which bottom 10% are we thinking of getting rid of this year? So he was talking basically about getting rid of 1,500 employees that he had very little contact with. I'm like, this is crazy, and I work for this guy. Now, if you just do the maths very quickly, if you're getting rid of 10% of your workforce once a year, then in 10 years' time, I probably won't have a job. So I did the maths pretty quickly on that one. Perhaps that's why I don't work with them any longer. Perhaps I fell into the bottom 10%. Let's have a chat. Buy me a beer. I'll tell you why I left. No, but we left amicably. Bless him. I don't think he's any longer with us, unfortunately. Madder than a box of frogs, but I just loved him. He was just hilarious. So, it depends where you are globally, but you do need to get watertight on your HR, your human resources, and make sure nothing's going to come and bite you on the ass.
Yeah, and there's some great organisations out there that can help you with that. You know, we belong to a particular group called Peninsula. I think they're fairly global anyway, but they're a great sounding board for, you know, giving you the right steps to go through.
Yeah.
But, I mean, try to avoid it in the first place.
Yep.
By having a better hiring system, having regular appraisals. I mean, that's something, you know, we haven't done so well in the past. We're doing it more now, you know, but by doing those appraisals, and if they're not performing during those appraisals, then, you know, you've got documented evidence.
That certainly helps. It'll be different for different parts of the world.
Yeah.
I have been in America when I've seen somebody just fired and there was never any comeback. Now, it might just be them, it might just be my perception, but I just don't think it's just one of those things. You just move jobs, it's quite fluent, and there will be protections in place, and they might have sharpened up. It was about 20 years ago now. I know you don't think I look old enough, but I am old enough to have had a job 20 years ago. Started at a very young age.
When I tend to fire people,
I
put them straight on to gardening leave.
Yes.
What gardening leave is for those that are outside of the UK is so people usually have a notice period they have to work, and gardening leave just means that you put them out the door, you pay their entitlement
for everything they're entitled to.
Yeah, and that's it. That's all.
So typically for me, if it's in the UK, I can't remember the last time I had a proper company, as I call it, but typically I think it was 30 days or a month's notice.
It's about 4 weeks.
Sometimes it can be longer if you've worked for longer for a company.
Yeah, I think it's 2 years and then a week each year.
Is added on to the 30 days.
Up to 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
So typically for me, in that situation, if I was going to let somebody go, I'd sit and have the conversation. I will then ask them to leave immediately. I will come back to why in a second. But the first thing I do then is I normally sort the money out with them right there and then. So I've got my figures lined up. So I've had a conversation with HR, I've had a conversation with finance. I know what day they're getting paid. Typically, I want to get the money in their bank account the day they've left my company, but remind them they're under contract for their gardening leave. So they can just exit the company and do whatever they need to do and start looking around for jobs. They're not really meant to on gardening leave because they're still under contract. But I'm very happy to go and help them. So I just get them out of the business. Now, why do I get them out of the business on the day? Why do you get them out of the business on the day that you sack them?
Well, because some of them can be quite toxic.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen people can get quite aggressive. They get annoyed and they feel hard done by. So they're just going to sit there. If you keep them on to work out their notice period, they're just going to sit there and bitch and moan and bring down the general morale of the place. Yeah,
and if you've got a 1 month notice leave, that's a long period of time where they're just telling everybody within earshot just what a terrible company it is and how they were doing a wonderful job and how, you know, the place is going to collapse without them. That's the comment they normally come out with. And that is just not a good thing to have in that environment. Once people, and in fact, it doesn't matter whether I've fired them, if somebody comes to me and says, I'm thinking of leaving, that's the other situation. And they go, so here's my notice, and they'll put in a nice letter normally, and I think my last day will be in like 30 days' time. I just go, no, like, contractually we'll do that, but your last day in the office is right now. So I'm going to ask you to leave the office with immediate effect, and then away we go. Now, I'd still go and get a bit of if you know what you're doing there, great, just follow the process. I would get a bit of HR back up.
Yeah.
It's so litigious these days. Like, the legals are going to come diving in. It's going to get a bit messy. So just make sure you've got it all backed up. I didn't used to do that in my business. So I don't know how I got away with it.
But that was a long time ago. Back in Victorian times, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
No employment laws then.
I think we just had the automobile had been invented. So, yeah, obviously. But the interesting thing, though, today was, we really found out, was you and I have a very similar line when we actually fire somebody, don't we?
Yeah.
So I can't quite remember the wording you use. So how does that go?
So my wording is usually around, well, don't think this job is working for you, and I know it's not working for me.
Yeah.
So I think we should probably call it a day.
Cool. So mine is very similar, and we only found out today we've got a similar line, but mine is very similar. There's normally a time frame involved, but I might just say something like, hey, I've worked out that you haven't been happy now for quite a while, or put in the amount of time, so you haven't been happy here now for a couple of months. We've tried a couple of bits and pieces, haven't we? And they normally nod, and I go, yeah, great. So I've worked out as well that actually I'm not very happy as well about the whole situation, and as you aren't happy and I'm not happy, that's not really good for business. So I'm just here to let you know that this is the end of the line for your position here with us. So I'm going to terminate our contract now. I always get that term in there, so just to let them know absolutely clearly that I'm terminating the contract. And then I normally just very quickly go, so what that will look like is I'm going to sort out all your money. That'll include all the holiday pay and everything that you're entitled to. I've worked that figure out. We'll get that into your bank today, but in a short while I'm going to ask you to leave, and I want you to leave the building today. I'm going to put you on gardening leave, so you'll still be contracted through us under the normal terms of your employment, but you're going to do those from home. Okay, so I'll just leave your time up with for today. So, and I just normally end it fairly quickly there.
Yeah.
And then I just look to go and get them out of the building. Now I'll try and do that with somebody else from the company by the side of me. And I will often then, I will do all the talking, they don't. And they will be the ones that accompany them out of the building. And it's important they don't get involved in that conversation, otherwise any of that anger we talked about earlier, unfortunately I've only experienced it in very rare occasions, but you don't want it directed at the person you've just asked to escort them out the building.
Yeah, no.
You want that to be as quick and as sharp as possible.
No, absolutely.
But very similar approaches. So, and we've talked now, I don't know, for 10-15 minutes or something, but we bring all this up because there's one person in your business that you need to sack right now.
Absolutely.
That person, they're going to be understanding about it.
I think they might even be happy about it.
They will be happy about it, and it's something that has to be done. And really, it's going to be a short, sharp conversation, and there might be a little bit of emotional turmoil while that person just adjusts to the new way.
There will be some emotional turmoil.
Yeah.
It is hard to get it in your thought process.
It is, and it's a giant step forward, and it will move your business forward, which is the good thing. And all your staff will know that this day is coming as well. As we mentioned earlier, they already know this is happening. But there is one person that you've got to sack, and that person is you.
Correct.
You need to sack yourself from your own business. So all this video that we've been chatting about here has been to lead up to this point. Hopefully you've taken away a few little bits and pieces and points. Next week I'm going to explain, or we're going to explain, why you need to sack yourself from your own business. Promises to be a good one. This could be a turning point for your whole business growth as we move forward. I think good place to end it, really.
Yeah.
So I'll just say, I think you've been happy with everything we've done today. I've certainly been happy, but I think this is where this video ends today. Yes. We're going to leave this now. I'm going to ask you to go away now for 7 days until we release the next video. And we will catch you on the other side.
Goodbye from me.
Cheerio from me.
We'll see you next week.
See you in a bit.